Hello everyone, welcome back to Tieu Lac. I hope you have a wonderful day. After failing to find Tieu Lac, Quan returns to his daily life at the farm, carrying deep regret over the truth he never explained to her. He tries to move forward, believing that fate may one day bring them together again. But during an ordinary day of work, Quan unexpectedly sees a familiar person at a construction site. Could this new clue finally lead him back to Tieu Lac? Let's follow today's story, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Kien was right. The more Quan thought about Tieu Lac's disappearance, the harder it became to deny his own responsibility. She had not simply walked away because of one misunderstanding. She had left after carrying too much pain for too long, and Quan knew that some of that pain had come from him. He had believed silence would protect her. When his father arranged a marriage for him, Quan had chosen not to tell Tieu Lac the whole truth. He had been afraid that the news would hurt her. He had told himself that he only needed time to solve everything before she found out. But hiding the truth had created something worse than the truth itself. It had made Tieu Lac believe that she had no place beside him. Now that she was gone, Quan no longer had the chance to explain what he had been thinking. He could not tell her that he had never wanted the marriage his father arranged. He could not tell her that every decision he made, even the wrong ones, had come from his desire to keep her from suffering. None of those intentions mattered if she had only felt abandoned. After returning to the farm, Quan had gone looking for her immediately. He searched the familiar roads first. He went to nearby places where she might have stopped to rest, and followed paths connecting the surrounding villages. Every time he saw someone walking alone in the distance, hope rose inside him before disappearing again. But there was no sign of Tieu Lac. The longer he searched, the more helpless he felt. There were too many roads she could have taken and too many places where she could have hidden. Quan did not know whether she was nearby or already far away. He did not know whether she was safe, whether she had food, or whether she had found anyone she could trust. Not knowing was the hardest part. At first, Quan believed that if he searched long enough, he would eventually find her. He left the farm whenever he could, following every possibility even when there was no real evidence behind it. But after repeatedly returning without an answer, he began to understand that desperation alone would not lead him to her. He could not abandon the farm and wander forever. Tieu Lac and Quan had met because of an unexpected turn of fate. When she had been at her most hopeless, their paths crossed. He had given her a place to stay, and without planning it, she had slowly become the most important person in his life. That memory changed the way he thought about finding her again. If their connection still remained, perhaps fate would place them on the same road one more time. Quan decided to return to his daily life. It was not because he had stopped missing her. It was not because he had accepted losing her. He simply needed a way to keep moving without destroying himself in the search that had no direction. So he made a quiet promise. Each day he would work in a different place when possible. He would visit another garden, travel along another road, or sell at another market. He would continue caring for the farm, but he would allow his work to carry him through the surrounding area. Maybe one of those ordinary days would bring him closer to Tieu Lac. Maybe the same fate that had once brought her to him would give him one more chance. That morning, Quan gathered cucumbers from the garden and prepared them for the market. The work was simple and familiar. He checked the vegetables, separated the damaged ones, and arranged the rest so they could be sold quickly. His hands moved with the confidence of someone who had done the same task many times. Yet even during the most ordinary moments, Tieu Lac remained in his thoughts. He remembered how carefully she used to handle everything at the farm. She never wanted anything to be wasted because she understood how much effort it took to grow even the smallest vegetable. Quan forced himself to focus. The market was already active when he arrived. People moved from one seller to another, comparing prices and choosing what they needed for the day. Quan found a place, set down the cucumbers, and began calling to passing customers. For the first time in days, he allowed himself to become part of the normal rhythm around him. An elderly woman stopped beside the cucumbers and asked the price. Quan answered respectfully and told her he was selling them cheaply. The woman moved slowly, and Quan noticed that her legs were hurting. Instead of rushing her, he told her to take her time and choose whichever cucumber she wanted. She examined them one by one. Quan waited patiently. It was a small moment, but it reminded him that life had not stopped simply because his own heart was unsettled. People still came to the market. They still worried about food, money, aching legs, and what they would cook for their families. He could not control where Tieu Lac was, but he could still decide what kind of person he would be while waiting for another chance. More customers came. One woman bought 4 kilograms. Quan weighed the cucumbers carefully and told her the total was 20,000. Another customer asked whether the vegetables had come from his own garden. Quan confirmed that they had. The exchanges were simple, but they kept his thoughts from sinking too deeply into regret. Each sale gave him something immediate to do. Weigh the vegetables, count the money, hand over the bag, thank the customer. Still, every time a young woman approached from a distance, his attention shifted. For one brief second, he would wonder whether it was her. Then the woman would turn, and the hope would disappear. The weather grew hotter as the day continued. The air felt heavy, and fewer people remained in the market. Quan looked down at the cucumbers and saw that only a small amount was left. Perhaps one more customer would be enough to finish everything. He called out again, asking whether anyone wanted fresh cucumbers. A man finally stopped and asked how much Quan wanted for the remaining vegetables. Quan gave him a low price. The man agreed to take all of them. Quan packed the final cucumbers and handed them over. When the last sale was complete, he looked at the empty space in front of him and felt a quiet sense of relief. He had finished the work. It had been an ordinary market day. Nothing had happened that could bring him closer to Tieu Lac. No one had mentioned her name. No familiar face had appeared among the customers. For a moment, Quan felt the old disappointment return. He had told himself that fate might guide him to his daily work, but perhaps that belief was only another way to comfort himself. He gathered his things and left the market. The day was not over, and there was still work to be done. Quan continued along his route, carrying on with the responsibilities that had brought him away from the farm. Later, he came near a construction site. The sound of work reached him before he paid much attention to the people there. Several men were busy under the afternoon heat, moving materials and completing the tasks in front of them. Quan would have passed without stopping. Then one of the workers turned. Something about the man's face caught Quan's attention. He slowed down. The worker looked thinner and more tired than before. His clothes were covered with dust from the construction site, and his movements showed that he had been working for hours. But Quan recognized him. It was Kien. Quan stared, needing another moment to be certain. He had known Kien as someone angry, reckless, and trapped by his own failures. Their previous encounters had been filled with conflict. Kien had caused pain, and he had often seemed unwilling to take responsibility for the consequences of his choices. The man standing at the construction site looked different. He was working, not pretending, not waiting for someone else to solve his problems. He was lifting, carrying, and completing his duties like any other laborer trying to earn an honest living. Quan felt surprised, but also relieved. If Kien had truly changed, then perhaps he was finally trying to rebuild his life. And if Kien was here, there was a possibility that he knew something about Tieu Lac. The thought struck Quan so suddenly that his heart began beating faster. He wanted to walk directly into the construction site and demand an answer. Where was she? Had Kien seen her? Was she safe? But Quan stopped himself. He did not know how Kien would react. Their last conversations had carried too much anger, and if Quan approached him carelessly, Kien might refuse to tell him anything. Quan remained at a distance. He watched Kien continue working and tried to decide what to do. Perhaps he should wait until the other workers left. Perhaps he should follow Kien after work. Perhaps he should simply step forward and accept whatever happened. For the first time in days, Quan had found a real clue. He could not afford to lose it by acting without thinking. Kien appeared focused on his work and showed no sign that he had noticed Quan nearby. Quan studied him carefully. There was no way to know whether Tieu Lac was living with her brother. Kien might have seen her only briefly. He might know where she had gone, or he might know nothing at all. But this was more than Quan had possessed that morning. Only a few hours earlier, he had been selling cucumbers while trying to convince himself that an ordinary life might eventually lead him back to Tieu Lac. Now he was standing near the one person who might be able to answer the questions tormenting him. Quan took a slow breath. He had to remain calm. He had waited this long. He could wait a little longer before revealing himself. Then someone appeared near the edge of the construction site. At first, Quan only noticed that it was a young woman carrying something in her hands. She walked carefully through the heat, moving toward the workers. There was something familiar in the way she held herself. Quan's breath caught. He looked again. The distance made it difficult to see her face clearly, but he recognized the shape of her hair, the quiet way she walked, and the slight hesitation in her steps. No, he was afraid to believe it too quickly. He had mistaken strangers for her before. Hope had already deceived him too many times. Quan kept his eyes fixed on the woman. She continued toward the construction site. Each step brought her closer to Kien. Each step made the familiar details clearer. Quan felt his hands tighten. The questions he had planned to ask Kien disappeared from his mind. The young woman was carrying food. She seemed to be searching among the workers, looking for someone she knew. Then Kien turned toward her. The woman lifted her face. Quan could finally see her clearly. His entire body went still. That face had remained in his mind to every road he searched and every night he returned to the farm alone. It was the face he had been afraid he might never see again. Quan forgot the heat. He forgot the noise from the construction site. He forgot every carefully considered reason for remaining calm. There was only one thought left inside him. There she was. Tieu Lac. It was really Tieu Lac.